Good morning. I want to start by welcoming everybody back to the new school year. I am sad that we can't all be together this morning, but we'll do what it is that we've been doing for the last 18 months and make the best of a difficult situation. I promise to make my comments this morning both authentic and short. That way, at least if you don't like my authenticity, you don't have to listen to it for very long. The bottom line to everything I'm about to say is that I wish things were better around here. I wish that I can ring in this new year with all the fanfare that you so richly deserve. I wish I could be with you today to conduct the marching band in a rendition of Oh Happy Days with the administrative team lining the aisles of the high school auditorium. I wish I could show you some video, some perfect video that would provide you with an inspiring message of hope and solidarity. The truth is that any attempt to gloss over the deep emotions we are all feeling would be inauthentic, and to me would be insensitive to the reality of what's really going on. It would be forced, and it would cheapen all the sacrifices we have made these last 18 months. The reality is that things are really hard at the present moment. And if I'm going to be honest with myself, there's very little that I can do, or you can do even in that fact, to make things magically better. The outside world's on fire, and we are a microcosm of the outside world. News and social media sources have completely overwhelmed our senses. I can't go 5 minutes without being roped into some Facebook post or news story that in one way or another irritates me to the very core. I've never been doom and gloom, but if I'm going to be honest about what's going on around us, the upcoming year will, like last year, be a struggle, and will again test our merits. Here's what I can offer you as we venture into this new year together. Something that I think is authentic and something that doesn't cheapen everything you have done these past 18 months. It's a simple story about a couple that found balance in a very unsuspecting way. I promise that I am not attempting to convince or lead you in a particular direction. Lord knows there are far too many who look to convince us these days of what is right and what is wrong. Instead, I offer to you a glimpse into the life of an extraordinary couple and an opportunity to share our collective wisdom. Here goes. So last week I'm vegging out watching YouTube, and one of those creepy YouTube algorithms exposed me to the world of living off the grid. For those of you that might not be aware, living off the grid is a simple way of existing without any sort of managed utilities, electricity, water, to name a few. You're self-sustaining. You build your own structure for shelter, cut your own wood for heat, grow or forage your food for sustenance. Listen, it's not a lifestyle for everyone, but for those that seek a world completely disconnected from mainstream living, there is no other way to exist. The algorithms built into YouTube connected me in some strange way, because I've never been into this before, to off-the-grid living lifestyle, and more specifically connected me to two very special people, Charles and Vanna Ray Bello. Charles and Vanna Ray were the penultimate off-the-grid couple. What makes the two of them unique and what makes the video worth watching is they both made a bold decision to sell every worldly possession they owned at the time, break away from the hustle and bustle of their busy lives, and seek refuge on 400 acres of land in Northern California. They incurred tremendous debt and made tremendous sacrifices to do this. The land was rich with redwood trees, and Charles and Vanna Ray decided this is where they would exist. Little did they know that for the next 50 years, this little corner of the world would provide everything they needed to create a balanced and fulfilling lifestyle. In order to make a living on this property, because contrary to what some people might believe, even homesteaders need some form of income for basic supplies and consumables, Charles and Vanna Ray made their living by harvesting and selling thousands of redwood trees that grew on their 400-acre property. Stay with me. I promise. A point is coming. Charles talks of balance midway through the video by discussing the extremes that plague the lumber industry. On one hand, selfish corporate moguls seeking to make quick money will eviscerate an entire region of trees in a matter of weeks, destroying ecosystems, putting wildlife in jeopardy, and stopping the perpetuation of the life cycle. They burn unneeded areas without conscience to make the transport of fallen trees easier. Their selfishness creates conditions that are sometimes irreversible. In the same breath, and on the other extreme, he also talks about the environmentalist industry that creates political conditions where the excavation of lumber in any amount is unconscionable. That position triggers an ecosystem that is not able to thrive. When older trees are not cut down, younger trees aren't able to grow as they are shadowed by the larger trees in the area. Similarly, two large trees competing for space often don't thrive. The act of cutting one down allows the other one to thrive. I'm going to leave this one to Charles as he explains his take on balance in the lumber industry.
See, we talk about the logging, the original logging. So this is a railroad grade. So they hauled all the trees out by train. So they had tracks. As a railroad track went down here, tracks across. And the trees, they took them down from the mountain. What they did is they cut them and they rolled them down the hill, the whole tree like that. The trees like this. They rolled them down from the top to get them down. You know what they did? All of these trees went for railroad ties for Chile and Argentina to make railroads. All the big redwoods. And these trees were like 10, 11 feet, and they're huge. And then the train, they were able to do rigging where they could pick up these logs and put them on the train. But they did horrible damage to the forest. What they did, man tries to make the most profit for the least amount of work. So they cut the trees in the spring, all the needles and the branches half dried during the summer. And then they set the whole damn forest on fire. And they did this like 8-10 years in a row because they wanted to burn the leaves and the branches so it make it easier for them to get the trees out. And they completely changed the ecology of the forest by doing that process. That was the trees they cut in 1906 to 1920. There were two here, but the original tree might have been something back there. This is like, these are clones. These are fairy rings, as they're called. All of these trees are feeding off of the original, and they're all clones. The original trees were this stump here and that stump there, and there's a couple behind. They cut those, and then out sprout, regeneration of redwoods, there's two ways, from seed and also from sucker growth. You see all these little babies here have a potential to become a giant tree. So nature, there's a little space here, you're getting a little light because they cut some branches. Boom! It's trying to build, and this is incredible growth. This is like 1 year from here to here because it's feeding off the old trunk. Now that tree is probably not much more than 100 years old. And if we were to release some of the competition around it, in 50 years it would be like this. It would be like twice the size of that. So anyway, these are growing well. This would be saved, this would be saved. You take 1, 2, those two out, and you take 2 more out. And by doing that, to get photosynthesis, you have to have growth. And by thinning, you're going to get more photosynthesis, carbon-oxygen exchange. You're going to get more of it by cutting trees out than if you don't cut them. So people say, oh, you're cutting redwoods. Well, you could be cutting them detrimentally, or you could be cutting them beneficially for the ecology and for the forest. So there's extremes. Human beings go to extremes in whatever they do.
So what did I get from Charles and Vanna Ray? I will likely never sell my worldly possessions and move to a redwood forest in Northern California. My wife Charlene would probably kill me at the very thought. I'm not planning on becoming a homesteader, as I like my life here in Farmingdale, and I really like Vespa's salmon with broccoli rabe and that little sprinkle of feta cheese. And I have no desire to become a logger, as I have 2 herniated discs in my lower left-hand side of my back. Instead, what this brilliant couple has taught me is to find balance. In my life, my balance comes from my wife. She is my life partner and she knows me cold. I met her when I was 17 and I never dated again. I never needed to. This past summer was one of the hardest times in my life. I was in unwinnable circumstances, and many who were caught up in their own life's complexities weren't always kind to me. Constantly being judged for any and all decisions that I was forced to make was hard and lonely, and in truth, I was losing some of the joy that had inspired me to pursue this great and noble profession. I take things personally, so the constant perpetuation of this cycle really started to wear me down. Without fail, at the end of the day, my wife would be waiting by the kitchen door with a big heartfelt hug. She seldom uttered even a single word. She knew that she didn't need to. In fact, she knew enough not to use words to make things better. She didn't try to convince me of a false reality, similar to what I'm trying to do today. A simple hug brought me to a better place and gave me what I needed to remember all the things that brought me so much happiness in life. She gave me the strength to put on a good face, go into work the next day, and continue to fight to provide my Farmingdale family with the support they deserve. My balance comes from my wife Charlene and her heartfelt hugs. Later today, I will send out a link of the full video in a Google Doc. I would ask anybody that is so inclined to share something they do to find balance in their lives. I will put all of our ideas together and share them out with the entire family. I can't solve this thing that is going on, and I know that you can't solve it either. I am not sure anyone can solve the world's problems right now. But maybe, just maybe, if we open ourselves up and share a little piece of ourselves, if we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we could be a little more like the Bellows and find balance. Find sanctuary right here in our little corner of the world. We can learn something from others who may just have a little pearl of wisdom that will make our tomorrow a little brighter. It's not a solution or a quick fix to everything that is going on around us, but it is a start. And I promise you that although I don't have all the answers, I won't stop fighting ever to make this the best place to go to work and the best place in the world to educate kids. With all my heart, I wish you a great school year, and I look forward to seeing you all in the coming days.